When I was 12, I wasn't worried about money, jobs, or success. I was worried about hitting trick shots on Black Ops 2 before school. I'd wake up early, fire up that PS3, hop in the lobbies with my friends, and spend hours chasing that one perfect clip. Now here's the crazy part. Some of those same kids I was in clans with are millionaires today. Some run businesses, some edit movies, some are huge content creators pulling in millions of views. Meanwhile, I went down the opposite path. 50,000 in debt before I even turned 20. But here's how gaming, of all things, gave me the mindset to climb out and change everything. If you're in the trickshotting community, you know exactly what I mean when I say it was a whole different world back then. Shit just don't hit the same now. It wasn't just playing Call of Duty, it was a lifestyle. We'd stay up until 3 a.m. grinding private match. We'd be on carrier raid. We played MW2 high rise terminal. You already know we'd be getting 6-mans running all day, all night. I used to wake up early before school just to play more. You'd be trying new shots. You'd be watching YouTube tutorials on how to knack, etc. You know, we weren't just playing; we were creating, editing montages, designing logos, trading graphics. As time went on, I drifted. I started to know something. Some of the kids I played with, they didn't stop. They kept building on these skills. One guy I knew took his montage editing and now edits for YouTubers who pull in millions of views a month. Another kid I used to be in a clan with, he used to crank out graphics for clans. Now he's a professional graphic designer working for real brands. And a couple people that I wasn't necessarily friends with, but like mutuals with, they became creators, building their own channels and careers. One example off the top of the head is James Daniels. I'm not sure if you guys know him, but he's like a UK YouTuber. I don't think he's uploaded in a good 2 years. I do know he did graphic design stuff before, but I don't know. He racked up about 500,000 views, with many of those going viral as parodies. And he used to be the clan owner of Option PS3. This is way back in the day, 2014 maybe. So this is over a decade ago now. But my one friend I was in another clan with, he joined that team, and that was his leader. So it's a crazy thing to think about looking back. That blew my mind because those weren't strangers that I looked up to. They were people I'd stayed up on Skype talking to. People I've been in 6-man parties with on Black Ops 2. People I'd played Search and Destroy with for hours. So it made me realize everything we were doing back then, networking, editing, branding, it wasn't just gaming. It was real world experience in disguise. Skills that could change your life if you double down on them. Just look at FaZe Clan, for example. They turned these skills into a business. That's what they are. They're a media business that brought in millions. I mean, sure, they're not doing what they were doing. They have had a bit of success coming back, but you can make sense that they're coming back down maybe. I don't know, there's a lot going on over there. Anyways, my story went a completely different direction. I kept gaming, but I never doubled down on that editing or graphic design. I taught myself all these skills at the age of 12, using cracked versions of Photoshop, Sony Vegas. I had all of them. I had all the Adobe programs, everything. Back then, it was a little bit easier. But instead of doubling down on these, by 15, I was smoking weed every day. I was checked out of school, skipping, losing friends, and just drowning in anxiety and depression. At 18, I thought I found my big break. I somehow managed to graduate high school, and I was working at McDonald's full time. Still am, unfortunately. However, crypto. I was obsessed with the idea of financial freedom. At 18, I thought my big break was crypto. I was obsessed with the idea of financial freedom. I wanted to escape the 9 to 5 before it even started. I built up my credit score, started investing, and in 2021, I made probably just over 12,000. About 7 of that was liquid. The other 5 or so was locked up in NFTs and crypto coins. And that was just over the summer. So for a kid working at McDonald's, that felt like my ticket out. I told myself I'd double down this, hopefully double my money, and put it as a down payment on a house. My plan was to take that house and hopefully get a duplex where I could live in one side and rent out the other. have them pay my mortgage so I could have a property in my name by the age of, I don't know, 25. But instead of focusing, I spiraled. By 19, I was experimenting with psychedelics constantly. Shrooms, acid. Telling myself it was helping me think clearer. Then I met someone who opened the door to harder drugs, coke and Molly, and research chemicals, honestly. A lot of the drugs he was saying were the actual harder ones, weren't. He was just cutting it with whatever. And I never really believed him, but I got so addicted to numbing myself, I didn't even care. I'll never forget mornings at my mom's house. I would hear my sisters getting ready for school in the morning while I was awake from a 3-day bender, still high on my mind, sitting there playing video games completely lost. That's when I started to realize I had a problem. What saved me was meeting someone I cared about, a girl I worked with. We tripped together, talked for hours, and she made me realize something. It's one thing to ruin your own life, but dragging someone else into your mess, that wasn't fair. It was a wake-up call I needed. Psychedelics have always been a really fascinating thing for me, something that made me feel more normal. And when I met this girl, she felt the same way. And we just got talking about life, what we wanted, things like that. And I would talk about my issues, but I never wanted to like put it onto her. But once I started realizing I was catching feelings, I knew I needed to change. So getting a little more to the future, it's not been a perfect road. I've relapsed once for a couple months, but for the most part, I've been on the right track since. Me and her are still together. We're living with her mom right now, saving for a house. I'm just trying to pay off the debt from a car I totaled about 2 years ago, which was a big part of my $50,000 in debt. Some was from loans that we spent on me and my quote-unquote friend. Spent on rental cars, on iPhones, on things I just couldn't afford and didn't actually need. But the difference is, from me now, is that I'm building real habits. We go to the gym every week, multiple times. I track my macros and what I eat. I read books that rewire how I think. A good example is the Millionaire Fast Lane. This reinforces the thing I saw those kids doing when I grew up. Learning skills and finding the fast lane instead of following the 9 to 5, quote unquote, slow lane that most people follow. I invest every month, no matter how small. At the moment, it's just about 100 or 2 every 2 weeks. It's what I can afford while still saving for a house. And when I look back at my childhood, I realized gaming gave me that blueprint. Consistency. Grinding for hours on a shot you may never hit. Collaborating with people online. Pushing yourself just to see what's possible. That mindset is exactly what I needed to rebuild my life. What I've learned and what I want you to take away is don't sleep on your skills. No matter if it's gaming, editing, designing, sales is a good one. These can all become careers if you actually push them. Your network matters. The people you're hanging out with online right now, some of them are going places. Don't underestimate that. So keep these connections if you could. I wish I did. I am sure I can go reach out to a few people I was in a clan with from back in the day. Some of them are still like on Twitter or on YouTube. Just most of them aren't doing many things. They're all living their own lives. But the ones that aren't, keep in contact. It's one, nice to have friends. Two, you don't know where these friends are going. You guys could be business partners in the future. You just really never know. Consistency is a cheat code. Trickshotting taught me this years ago. Fail 1,000 times and eventually you will hit it. That's the exact same formula for business, fitness, investing, and just about anything that's worth chasing. I go to the gym every day. Some days I need a deload. I'll do the same weight I did the day before and I can barely get it up. However, I'll go back 2 days later and I'll be hitting new all-time highs for me. I'll be maxing out my reps, maxing out my sets, and just all around doing better than I was before. And that's what it's about. It's about progress. If you're gaming right now, don't underestimate yourself. You're building more than just memories. You're building discipline, creativity, connections that can completely change your life. I went from trickshotting on PS3 to 50K in debt to finally putting my life back on the right track. I know I can do it, and I'm on my way there now. I believe you can as well. that just about wraps everything up. But let me know in the comments, what's your story? What's one skill or dream you've been chasing outside of gaming? I'd love to hear it. And that's been it. I'm Journey. Peace.